Alright, just waiting for the GG call to go out and then do a bit of endgame analysis as soon as it does. In the meantime, however, this Rax doesn't long live. The Morphling has his illusions out. Slardar can perhaps blink in and take out someone real quick. Morphling alone can't even scratch this Lucifer. Despite his firearm, his DPS really isn't that great. And down goes the melee Rax, and Darkseer in a bit of trouble. He's the amplify damage on him. But Storm Spirit zipped in to kill his assailants, and Slardar is probably going to go down in a second as soon as people start targeting him. And, oh, maybe Furion will go down first, actually. Crystal Maiden tried to ult, but she got stunned a second. Oh, Furion actually finished his Orchid, and got to use it once. I didn't think he'd finish it, he proved me wrong. Slardar's stunned, and he's going to get zipped and pulled in. Pull is unnecessary, he goes down. So I think just about everyone's dead. None of them have money for buyback. Lucifer's shopping at their shop, and I mean, there's the GG, and now I will pause and do a bit of analysis now that we're at the tail end of things. So I think the most noteworthy thing in this game was definitely the Furion. Early game, the Furion was fantastic. He picked up so many kills for them, and in particular, that opening exchange, the very initial battle, was just a huge landslide victory for the Sentinel, and Furion kept contributing. However, the problem was, his creep stats were just terrible. He has 85 now, but I remember at the 10-minute mark, I think he had 10, and at the 20-minute mark, he had about 30. And without those creep stats, the creep kills, he didn't get the items to be able to continue being a threat, and what that meant was that in the mid-section of the game, Storm Spirit, who had been farming a bit better, was capable of zipping in and just killing them, unsupported. And it is not good when one of your 3 carry-type heroes can be soloed by the enemy Storm Spirit. It's a sign of bad things to come, surely. The Witch Doctor, I feel, played his role great. He did a lot of good casting and maledicting, and he wasn't the chief warder. Venge did a bit more warding than him, but I definitely think his support was good. I think the real letdown for the Sentinel this game was actually the Slardar. Slardar, despite having a blink dagger, sometimes he just finds himself too far away from the action. After he blinks in, if the enemy starts to kite him, sometimes he just can't contribute that much. I think Slardar, given how successful his lane was, thanks to the play of Furion largely, and the Witch Doctor, and Venge, I feel Slardar really should have done better, and perhaps another hero like Drow Ranger, I'm not sure if she was banned or not, I forget, would have been more successful in his place. On the Scourge side of things, Venomancer as a support hero, and you'll notice that I didn't mention this earlier, but he picked up an Aghanim Scepter at some point. So Venomancer as a support hero, one thing he brings to the table is his ultimate. Unlike, he probably has, as far as popular support heroes go nowadays, he has a great ultimate. Sort of like, I don't know, perhaps like Earthshaker in some respects, just the mechanics of their ultimate. In my mind, he is almost like Earthshaker in a way, because Earthshaker has that long-range stun, whereas Veno has his sort of long-range slow thing. I'm not convinced that he's better than the Earthshaker. Earthshaker, however, is a melee hero, so he can't harass like Venomancer can in lane. That's really the edge up that Venomancer has on Witch Doctor, on stupid Earthshaker. Storm Spirit, pretty typical Storm Spirit this game. If it had gone on much longer, he would have finished off the sheep stick you see him building there with his Voice and his ultimate orb. Storm Spirit ganked very effectively. That's the thing, to play an effective Storm Spirit, you really need to be able to get hero kills effectively. There was one poor judgment call he made where he went in against 4 heroes trying to kill a Witch Doctor, and that was a mistake, but his team was so far ahead it didn't really cost him anything, and that was his only real mistake. I saw his zip-ins in the team fights were always very well placed, and that's the other thing about Storm Spirit is you really have to be in tune with your team and work together, because if you zip in at the wrong time, or without your allies knowing, or without their support, then you're just dead. But if you do it effectively, the enemy is dead. And I think LG really communicated with their Storm Spirit, the rest of their team worked together well to give Storm Spirit the 17 kills and 15 assists you see him packing, which is quite a few. That's 32 total kills plus assists. That's a lot. The Dark Seer, this wasn't a particularly effective game for the Dark Seer, I don't think. He did well, but not as well as some other Dark Seer games I've seen recently. But still, he definitely held up his lane fairly well. He laned up against the Morphling, and he did allow the Morphling to free farm the lane pretty much non-stop and get lots of CS. Morphling, remember, was at 120 some CS 20-minute mark. However, despite the fact that the person he laned against farmed, the Morphling never really contributed much, whereas I think the Darkseer did contribute more with his Ion Shell vacuuming. And Lucifer, a Lincoln's Lucifer. That's a bit unusual. I'm not sure what the big threat was for Lincoln's. I guess he just wanted to play it safe. His team was in the lead. They didn't really need him to be more of a carry. He just needed to make sure that he didn't feed. That was his main concern. As long as he didn't die when he shouldn't, then his team would probably win. So this game, despite the fact that earlier on I thought I would have given to StarsBoba, if you remember, the real deciding factors, above and beyond what I've been mentioning just now, is there were a few team fights that were just absolutely, totally one-sided in the favor of LGD, and not because they had an advantage at that point. I think the real reason LGD won this game is because of their positioning, communication, and team fights. I think the other team, when it came to the big clashes, for instance, when they fought over Rosh and there was a complete team wipe, and then there was another team wipe top lane, I remember, where everything but Morphling died, and Morphling didn't die because he wasn't there, he was free farming instead, and perhaps if he had been there, it would have worked out differently. But in any event, I don't think StarsBoba's positioning was all that great. They lacked initiation, I guess. The best initiator on their team is probably the Morphling zooming in, however, the Morphling was never there, so their only real initiator was Slardar doing a blink in and stun. However, he really needs more DPS backup. The Furion really didn't put out much DPS. The Morphling should have, but he wasn't there, so if Slardar was kind of alone in some respects, even if he did initiate, his allies couldn't back him up enough. In any event, I really enjoyed that game, and I hope you did too, and this is KeithUAPC, over and out. Thank you very much for watching.